Montesi, welcome inside the crazy ant farm, man. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm good.
Oh, dude, we are so stoked to talk to you. Obviously, being a part of probably the biggest show on television right now, so that's freaking awesome. And
Yeah.
we're excited to talk to you because you, like us, you're a filmmaker. You're a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. Not only are you in front of the camera, but you're behind it getting a lot done, too. So we're super pumped to talk to you about that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but what we like to do at the very beginning is kind of do a little intro for anybody who might not be familiar with you or how you got started. So let's jump in right there. Was this something you always kind of knew you wanted to do, or is it something you kind of fell into, or how'd you get started, man?
Sure, yeah. So both my parents were in the business. My mom was an actor, and my dad was a director and an actor as well. He was a television director. He's Chilean, so he came here. He came to Edmonton in the 1980s and got a start there, operating, editing, everything under the sun, writing, and eventually one of his features got picked up, and he was working nonstop since then. I didn't get to quite take advantage of the nepotism in the way I wish I had, because he retired in 2005 when I was still like only 13 years old, and I hadn't started acting yet. Well, I was acting in high school, but not not auditioning or trying to get in as a child actor or anything like that. But yeah, so I was doing drama in high school and a lot of improv. Did a lot of improv comedy and stuff. I didn't do the film classes in high school, so I was making stop motion animations at home.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah. So making like claymations and stuff when I was a kid, and animating in Adobe Flash, and I thought I was going to be an animator for a long time. And then improv and everything after high school. I got an agent right away, and it was slow going for a lot of years. And then eventually, was able to start doing this full time around 2019.
Nice.
And been able to just be an actor for the last however many years, which has been nice.
Well, I love that too, because this podcast is meant for the up-and-comers trying to break into the entertainment industry, and something that they can take away from your introduction right there is you're not afraid to try anything, and there's so many different avenues. Everybody only thinks about actors and directors, but there's so many different avenues that you can tackle within this entertainment industry that we all know and love. So
yeah, for sure.
What would you say is your favorite? Because I kind of think about it like Jonah Hill, because he used acting to try to get behind the camera and to start his directing and everything. So would that be the same for you, or what is your favorite?
I was selling some bits of rigging last night to a buddy who's a second AC. She came by, and I was selling some rail blocks and some 15 millimeter rods and stuff to her. And she was asking me the same question. She said, if I wanted to DP, and I just want to do everything.
Yeah.
I want to do everything. I want the acting to pay for me making my movies, and I wanted to just feedback back and forth.
Hell yeah.
What is your guys' background? I actually don't know.
Well, so early on, I started off in film in college, way back in college, and in front of the camera doing little cameo type stuff and things like that. And then life hit, and I had a baby. It's like that in between, need a real job kind of a thing to pay the bills. Transitioned into television news, of all things, broadcasting career. And then that's where we met. And then coming out of that, back into film. So, and like yourself, I was one of those guys that when I was in front of the camera, I was always paying attention to what was behind, right? Oh, can I look through that? Why are you using this lens? Why is the light here? What do we do? And I wanted to kind of
annoying the DP on set.
Absolutely.
Whenever I'm there, I'm just apologizing to the DP because I'm just why is that there? What are you doing with that? Is that fill? Is that key? What is that?
Exactly. And so the goal I knew eventually was always to direct. And I'm like, how can I possibly direct if I don't have a clue what all these people are doing or why they're doing it or how it works. And so I just went along methodically. Like, I'll never be the best at this, but I want to have at least the knowledge of knowing what it's supposed to be doing when I'm calling the shots, right? So, and that's how I got started and kind of got into it. And
yeah, I mean, for me, I was also doing stage performances as well. In high school, I was Rolf in The Sound of Music, and boy, oh boy, that kind of just freaking took my my confidence and shot it through the roof. But I was really excited about that, and I was always writing short stories all throughout middle school, high school. I would always try to, just tell a story in the sense to where it was relatable to people. So the writing aspect is definitely one that I favor more than anything else. But then, like he said, we started working together at a news station, and then that's why I fell in love with my camera and everything like that. So that's kind of how it all started. But yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. I love, getting to learn everything. Like, I started from square one with Adobe Premiere, and now I feel like, we edit the podcast together. Like you said, we're filmmakers, so we do like rough drafts of our films as well, so that we can send to our editors. Like, here's the proof of concept. Here's what we're looking for. Like, we want this shot to do that. So all the
have you transitioned to Resolve yet? Are you on Resolve yet?
Fuck, man, I have not even attempted.
I switched. I was editing a web series for a YouTube channel last year.
Yeah.
When was that? August 2021. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it. I tried a million times to switch from Premiere to Resolve.
Right.
And that was the first time I switched. And as long as you get your hotkeys transferred over, as long as you because cut on Premiere is called like slice and Resolve or something like that. So you got to find the exact. But once you do that, man, you'll never look back.
Well, now we have to.
Exactly. Now we got to try new shit.
I'm glad we got into that part of the conversation and everything, though, because, and I love when we talk to actors who understand behind the camera, right? Especially editing. Editing can make or break a television show or a film. Like, without, it could be the best script and the best performances, and the editor just chops it up. It's an absolute disaster, or vice versa. They can make something really bad look really great if they know what they're doing. So I always love when people understand that aspect of it and how important it is to a project,
Yeah. I think, whenever I'm, not on set, but auditioning for something, I'm thinking, what is the edit of this? Because that helps you with the beats. Because if you're already acting the edit, right? Like, you go, okay, I know that on this line, they want me, they're imagining a pause, and then you hold that, and then that's the beat, and then they cut to the next scene, right? Not that entirely guides your performance, but if you can have an idea of that in your head, that's going to help you out so much, right?
Oh,
exactly.
absolutely.
I find myself, because we actually made our directorial debut. We premiered it in April, and I found myself while we were on set. All right, I want to cut it here and then pick back up here. Like, just while I'm going through the on-set process, I can see where we're making the cuts and making the transitions and everything. So it's that type of aspect that I think is very helpful for people who are on set, and especially indie filmmakers who wear multiple different hats. I think it's very important.
So let's talk about that, though, because now you have all that experience behind the camera, right? And you've done smaller projects and indie stuff and your own stuff, and then yet you've been on a part of something as large as The Last of Us, right? And all that kind of. Talk a little bit about the differences of what you like and don't like about the differences in the scale of a project like that.
Sure. The main difference is having help, right? Main difference is like,
you mean you don't wear 15 hats? Wait a minute.
That's exactly right. Like, I'm sure we've all done it where you're the DP, the director, the gaffer.
Oh, sure.
Yep.
The grip, the best boy in your everything, right? And you're probably doing audio as well. The main thing, I think the main thing I was I showed up for my first day there, and I was like, okay, I'm acting with Pedro Pascal. We already did blocking. I met him. He's a super nice guy. Just super chill and down to earth. And the first scene we shot is that piece where you see him in the crowd and he looks to me and I'm leaning against the thing.
Yeah. Right.
That was the very first thing that we shot with him. So not any dialogue yet. And we didn't get to that scene where me and him are in the alley until after he killed me. We shot the death first.
Right.
But anyway, the main thing I was like, oh, did we? I can't remember anymore. But the main thing I was like, what's going to be the difference? What's going to be the difference here?
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of nothing. It was like the main thing is that, and this, I guess this is the big difference, is they do 2 pages a day.
Mm.
You know,
Right.
and that's why it's good, because if you write the best script in the world and you go, okay, we're going to shoot this in 18 days, no one can do good work in that
Exactly.
time. No one can do good work shooting 9 pages a day.
Right.
It's really, really, really hard. Not the crew, not the actors, not the director. And then it comes down to the thing like, hey, you're going to save everything in the edit. But when you're doing 2 pages a day and you just, okay, all we're doing is just, I'm talking to Pedro Pascal in an alleyway for the next 6 hours, and then they'll do, some other scene with somebody else.
Right.
That's all you have to worry about. And it's the time. It's just having the time, and you get a bazillion takes. And I know that there's some kind of stigma around a lot of actors not wanting takes, and maybe that comes from the TV world where people are used to doing 9 pages a day. But for me, I want as many takes as I can get. And, in theater, you get 3 weeks of rehearsal. And in TV and film, maybe in film, but you get some. But in TV, you don't get any rehearsal. It's you show up, you block it. The director says, okay, let's say the words. And then they go, let's film the rehearsal.
That was honestly the biggest question I had coming into this. Like when I got the response saying that you were confirmed to come on the show, I'm like, man, I cannot wait to ask him what it's like to be punched in the face by Pedro Pascal. I mean, what was that like? You got killed by the Mandalorian.
I know. Yeah. Cool guy to get killed by. Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, the only part that I didn't do, or that neither of us did, was the tackle. So
yeah,
the only part that isn't us is the actual shot of us, traveling through the air.
Right.
And then on the ground, it's back to us again. They filmed that with both the stunties.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they used us. And I'm amazed at how like it looks. It's so brutal and so visceral, and that comes down to just the good filmmaking,
for sure.
Where it's mostly on him, and you're just feeling his performance, what you want to feel anyway. But I was on the ground. He was on top of me, and I'm just doing one of these while my face is covered in makeup, and he's just going for it.
That's awesome.
It was good. It was a good death. I thought they 3D scanned me.
Mm-hmm.
They 3D scanned all the cast, I think, just so they had a 3D double of anyone to put anywhere for whatever reason. I guess just to save their asses for continuity or something.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But when they 3D scanned me, and the way Craig Mazin described it on the day, I thought they were gonna fully mash me and really turn me to a pumpkin. But yeah, it was a good death. I mean,
yeah, without doubt. And
gotta get killed by.
Exactly.
So what I really like though that you said about all that, and even taking the time for the choreography and everything with the fight scene and all that kind of stuff, I love that, because I feel like that's one of the advantages now of the streaming, right? As opposed to just before network television, where, like you said, we're shooting 9 pages a day and it's a machine and you're knocking it out and you don't have time. And now the streaming, while you're still television, it's very much more that film format where you can take your time and get more shots and kind of there's advantages to that, and I love the way that you describe that, because I think a lot of people are still in that mindset of streaming is television, so it must be go 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 go, and but you can just tell on certain projects that this has got the quality of a feature film, and it's on the small screen. It's amazing. And like you said, even down to the details of fight scenes and stuff, it's incredible what they're able to do now with a little bit of extra time, right?
100%. I really think that it's the most valuable commodity on set, right? That's the one thing you're not allowed to have. They've got the producer and the production manager there is going like, oh, 12 hours, hard out, goodbye.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So sometimes you just don't get things, right?
Yep.
Which I think is why I think it's really, really impossible to compare one project to another, right? You go like, oh, this is good, and this is or like colloquially, we all just say like, oh, such and such show or movie is better than such and such show, right? But one might have had a month per episode, or they filmed a movie in 3 months, and the other one was done in 18 days.
Right.
How can you know?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's just a different way of doing things.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, with this being, like we were talking about at the very beginning, like the new hottest thing, the newest hottest IP. I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter, which I mean, can be good and bad, but it's been a lot of comparisons of, The Last of Us and The Walking Dead in the sense of, obviously the same concept, but totally. I think it's so, they're different in the sense of, the group unit, the family unit dynamic, and then the duo. I feel like what Pedro and Bella have, obviously working together on Game of Thrones in the past, but having what they have, I feel like it's intimate. I feel like it's more one-on-one time in the sense of getting to know the characters better, because I feel like in The Walking Dead, and that was huge for its time, there was so many different pieces that you had to try to remember, and sometimes you couldn't remember that guy's name and different things like that. But I feel like with this, it's really special because you do get that almost instant connection, because we all have a relative like Pedro's brother in the show who is kind of like he's a little out there, and we kind of have to keep our eye on him and everything like that. Or we have, the daughter or the sibling that you're like, oh, she's so sweet, she's so dear, that we have to protect. So I think that's something great about this show, is I feel like a lot of people have that connectability with this show. So I think that's very special. And what a great project to be a part of, right? And I mean, I can only imagine what the attention has been like for you recently.
It's great. I mean, it's really cool to be part of something that feels like, maybe just because I'm part of it, but it feels like the biggest thing in the world. I mean, everyone is
for sure,
watching and talking about it. I'm at the community center working out, and I look up and I see myself getting killed in the spot, and I'm like, oh, okay, it was an amazing thing to be part of. And I think on when it comes to because The Walking Dead, I mean, that's obviously the comparison that we all have in our heads. Yeah. It is so different, right? Down from the filmmaking to the production design, everything. And it's so hard to put your finger on exactly what it is. Like maybe you go like, okay, is it because, The Walking Dead is trying to pay homage to the source material being a comic, whereas The Last of Us was basically already a film,
right?
Basically,
right? Like all the cuts, I think all the cut scenes together is like over 2 hours, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
It's like they have a movie in there, and so the tone was already set out. But it's really hard. I mean, without making comparisons, I just think The Last of Us, they really, really nailed it.
Oh, without doubt,
it's special
because that genre, the post-apocalyptic zombie genre, is so played out in a way, right? Like we've all seen it a million times.
Yeah.
So to keep everybody's interest is a pretty big accomplishment.
Well, and then that plays into, because I had heard a report, and I'm just curious if this is true or not, because of the comparisons to The Walking Dead, and because of has this been played out before, that no one was allowed to say the word zombie. Is that correct? Is like they just wanted to stay completely away from zombie, correct?
I think you're right. Yeah. I might be making this up, but I feel like I did hear that on set. Now that you're saying it.
Yeah. So it makes sense, right? Call them a vegetable, whatever. Call them, just don't call them zombies. So
100%.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, you're using the acting to make your projects and everything like that. So being on a set like that and being involved in this kind of a special thing, what are you taking away from that to move forward with, like, maybe one of your projects or something? Do you find that each time you do one of these type of projects, you know, because you've been on some stuff, Supernatural and these big things, do you find that you take little bits from each thing that you've been in and say, what can I incorporate? What can I learn to do when I'm doing this behind the camera?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. Especially what the DP does. I'm definitely trying to look at setups and figure out what they're doing, and try to like remember, okay, there were, you know, two people talking in a room. How did they key this? How can I copy that? You know, seeing them do things like, okay, they just bring in a Titan tube for fill. Okay, like that's something that is done, you know.
Right.
Because in your head, if you're, you know, you don't call yourself a cinematographer, you go like, is this okay to do? Is this like, if I bring on someone who is like a really experienced gaffer, because I know I can make things look good on my own.
Right.
But I don't know if I'm doing the, you know, technically correct way of doing it. So seeing what they do on set and going like, okay, yeah, this isn't quote unquote breaking the rules to just bring in this unit or do things this way, or, you know, let the shadows go dark. Definitely always looking at stuff like that.
Do you see yourself then as a director that will be the DP? Do you want to hold the camera? Are you that guy, or are you okay with, let me hire a cinematographer, let me hire a DP that knows?
Yeah. So I recently came to this conclusion on my own. Because as the guy with all the gear,
right,
people come to you to shoot their stuff, right? And then you go like, okay, you know, you don't have money, so I'm gonna be basically donating all my gear. I need to get something out of it
for sure.
At least I can put my name on it as you know, we'll co-direct it and I'll get another director credit, right? But the conclusion I've come to recently is that unless I've written it, I don't think I want to direct.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, like whatever music videos and stuff, which I do a lot of.
Yeah.
Totally. Because you know, it's not really a script. But unless I'm the writer, you know, I'm just not super invested. I'm invested in the story, but not in the same way, right?
Right.
And so I think every writer should direct, and I think every director should write, and everyone should edit.
Yeah.
And you know, an actor should give it a shot too. Every single person is better for trying out as much as they can, right?
Right.
Because it's a collaborative art form, and that's what makes it so good. Like you were saying earlier, right? You can save something in the edit, you can ruin something in the edit, you can change a scene by adding a score to it. You can, you know, like the performance isn't done until the editor has their say, right?
That's right.
Like that. I mean, anyway, yeah, that's what makes it so great, is the collaboration. So everyone should do as much as they can.
For sure.
I mean, I completely agree with you, because our first film that we shot, it was written by someone else. He gave us complete control, creative liberties, you know, able to change up characters, their gender, everything like that, dialogue. But right now we are actually doing chemistry reads for a television pilot that we wrote ourselves, and do have that type of, you know, that type of attachment, in the sense of, you know, you're seeing the characters that you created brought to life, and someone else is reading the dialogue. There's something just so special about that just like, it almost gives me butterflies. It brings me back to when I was a kid and I would get butterflies about things that would really excite me. So I mean, it's just different things like that, you know. Go ahead.
What was that like to do that read through?
Oh my goodness, man. Literally, because you know, we do chemistry reads with two different actors, and it's normally over Zoom, so we make sure to cut our mic, cut the camera, but while we're watching it, we're just like smiling so big. Like, it's just the sense of, holy shit, like that's exactly what we were trying to portray in the script with the lines. So I mean, it's a really special thing. And I mean, we've almost interviewed about 200 guests on our podcast, and all of them say create your own content. And we preach that wholeheartedly, because it's such a special thing, and it gives you a different type of love for the craft.
And the one thing that's most exciting for me is it's awesome to see your character come to life, right? That came out of my head. Now it is 3-dimensional. It's real. It's there. But when the actor gets the character, right? They're not just giving a great performance, but that's actually the person that you created. It's not just a great performance of the character. It is the character. And so when we get those in the audition, we're like, holy that is Rachel. That is who I saw. That is who it's an amazing feeling. And don't get me wrong. It's really great to direct and bring someone else's character to life and give them the vision that they were hoping for. But when it's yours, like Logan said, it's just a whole different ball game, man.
Totally. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that you get it. Yeah, I love it, man. I love that you're that guy, because this is what it's all about.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, hey, likewise, I mean, that's what's so special about working in film. I find the more people I talk to, the more people I find, like, thankfully, with this day and age, that anyone can go and buy a camera, which has its good and which has its pros and cons.
That's right.
But it's making people who do it right, because it's oversaturated the market. So now you have to.
Right.
It's like, if you want to make it, you have to make your own stuff. Yeah. Because everyone's making their own stuff.
That's right.
Completely agree. And man, I gotta say, when I first saw you pop on screen in that first episode, I was like, is that Jared Leto? You look like Jared Leto. Do you get that often?
Someone else said that recently. I've never gotten that before, and now I've gotten it twice in the last week. That's
Y'all
funny.
could really be twins. I'm just saying. It's so freaking funny. Like, you're probably in the new Blade Runner.
We'll see. It used to be Jake Gyllenhaal and Robert Pattinson, which
I could see that.
Those are all fine. I'm happy with all three. They're some good looking guys.
Well, let's throw all 4 of you guys in a film together. We'll get busy writing. We'll write it. And it'll be fantastic, and we'll make that work.
Great. I'm sure they would love to have me.
You guys can pummel each other. It'll be fantastic. It'll be great.
Well, with you being so intelligent about the industry and how things move, kind of like a chessboard. With the pandemic, this is our dog Peanut, by the way.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah,
who likes to make appearances.
Yeah. With it being kind of like a chessboard, and in the sense of the television side is very oversaturated right now, when the theater side is definitely trying to balance out and trying to get back to what it once was. Do you feel like that too much attention is on TV shows and streaming right now, or do you feel like it's still an asset, especially for indie filmmakers who can get their projects seen, or how do you feel about that?
I think it is. I mean, obviously, theater's having a hard go after COVID, of course.
Yeah,
for sure.
Venues are extremely expensive. Venues have always been extremely expensive. It's hard to get people to come out to watch a show.
Yeah.
You basically need to sell out every night just to break even.
Right.
On a small venue.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing about it being oversaturated with television is that, especially for actors, is that you kind of go, okay, you know what? There's enough to go around for everyone, and when you look at my friends X, Y, and Z are all series regulars on blah 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 and blah 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 and blah blah blah, and you go, okay, I'm gonna get mine because there's too many shows.
Right,
there's too many shows, and there's too many streaming services. And on one hand, it makes you sad, and you go, oh God, it's just a product, and you have to put up with that from an actor standpoint, from a creative standpoint, morally, ethically, artistically.
Right.
Do I want to be in an industry that is, that's why it comes back to, that's why these things are done in 18 days, is because I won't say all, but on a lot of projects at a certain level, the people who are funding it don't care. they just care if it gets their money back plus one, right?
That's right.
If it was made for $1 million and they make $1,001, then they'll make another one. Which you go like, okay, do I want to be on a project like that? Well, I don't want to go back to making coffee.
Right.
Like, so the oversaturation is a blessing and a curse. And how it will help or hinder theater, I think, is maybe that. I mean, I think it's always been the thing that our actors go back to get their kicks,
right?
For sure,
because so rarely do you get to be on a show where you go, this is really special. You don't hate, like, it's not like it's either special or you hate it, but you're often on something where the crew isn't happy and the cast is jaded, and you go, what am I doing here? Is this really the business I want to be in?
Right.
But then you get the paycheck and you're like,
damn it, double-edged sword.
Well, and that's that's the sincerest hope, right? Because I do feel like sometimes it becomes just a paycheck, and the sincerest hope is, and because we're those guys. I'm for sure that guy that I will still go and sit in a theater where I am literally the only person in there watching a film that's going to show twice and only 3 days, and then it's being bumped for the tent pole, right? But I want to see that film. I still want to watch, and I'm hoping that the benefit of the oversaturation and these paychecks is that it allows you to afford to still make the art, still be passionate about what you do. And that is the sincerest hope, is that we don't lose that, right? Because there's a place for that one movie for one day in a theater, before it gets replayed. And we need to not lose that.
I'm very curious too, because something else that we've been talking about a lot, and we actually built a whole new podcast about it, was mental health. And working in the entertainment industry, it can take a strain on you, because you do get like 99 no's and that one yes. So how do you keep yourself motivated and still ready to go on a daily basis when you do get those 99 no's?
Sure, yeah. I think eventually with acting, because the no's are very I guess they're different in every part, whatever department you're in,
right?
I have a Gmail folder. I have every audition I've ever been to since 2011.
Oh shit,
wow.
Yeah, I've been to over 400 auditions in the last 13 years.
Yeah.
And I've got 22 credits or 23 credits, right?
Yeah.
So if it was a job interview, if you turn to a job interview, it's like, oh man, I've been to 400 interviews. I think they're gonna finally say yes. Any sane person would go like, no, they're not gonna say yes. Right. No, you've been to 400 interviews. It's over. It's over. Stop it.
Right.
Or if it was a boxing record, someone would tell you to stop, right?
Right.
It's like 400 losses and 22 wins. You're not good at this. You have to stop, right? But I mean, they'd all be split decision losses.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Where you almost get it, but you don't. But the no's get easier. You eventually, every actor who is at a certain level, my peers, you literally don't remember the auditions after you do them. Like not like a hyperbole. You just you go, what, like you do it and you forget about it. Rarely you go like, I definitely got that. I definitely got that. And you check out on it. And I do that. But most of them you forget about, because I think you get to a point where whether you would cast yourself or not, right? You go like, I'll read for it, and if I get it, hey, awesome. But you go you look at it and you go, especially with TV, right? You go, how many times have I seen this scene? Because most TV is written from a playbook of other television.
Absolutely.
Right? Unless it's good, and then it's new and it's original. But you look at the scene, you go, okay, I've seen this doctor in a million episodes of X, Y, and Z show. So I know that, I know I'm not gonna play this guy. And then eventually, after you play your 15th drug addict or your 15th rapist or whatever it is, you go, okay, I'm probably gonna get this one because I got the other guys.
Right.
So the no's get easier because you just kind of do it to do it. At least for me. I think it's different maybe as a writer and a director, because there's so much more pounding the pavement you have to do.
Right.
Once you have an agent and the auditions come your way, if you're not making your own content, I hate that word content, but if you're not making your own stuff, then as an actor, it's really easy to just let the stuff come to you, and if you get it, you get it. But as a director, writer, whatever else you want to do, you got to pound the pavement a lot more, and I think the no's would be harder.
Well, I like that. I like that you said, because with the 400 and the 22, because when we spoke to a good friend of ours who Walking Dead, it's ironic, but Jason Warner Smith, he said he tries to tell his, because he does a acting class and an acting school for young actors, and he tries to tell them, it feels like it's bad, right? You only got 22 out of 400, and he says, but here's the thing, the job is auditioning. Getting the gig is just the perk, right? And he says,
100%.
And he says to get people pumped up about how they're doing, he said, take the money that you've made from the 22 and divide the 400 by that, and you'll see what you're getting paid, and you're actually doing pretty good for those 400, right? Because you made this much money.
Totally.
And so
agree.
I think if you look at it that way, right, and think of it more of selection than rejection, and realize that the ones you are getting are paying for the ones you're not, you're going to be okay, right?
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. The job is definitely auditioning, because back when auditions were in the room, that was the only time I ever felt any nerves. Even when I got my very, very first job, I never had any nerves. I mean, I had been on set with my dad when I was like a kid, but I hadn't been on set in like years. There's so much alienating lingo that you don't know what is, right? You go like second team, and you go like, what's second team? And you have no one to ask what second team is. And then like you're standing there, and the stand-in comes and stands beside you, and they're giving you weird looks. And then like the operator tells you you can go because no one told you what second team was.
Right.
But even with all that shit, the audition was the only part that was nerve-wracking, because it's not yours yet, and then you got it and it's yours, and you just show up and you do it. 100%. I totally agree with that. The job is auditioning
for sure. And what were you gonna ask before we spoke?
You were talking about no, I lost it.
We tried. Well, listen, man, thank you so much for coming on the show and getting a little crazy with us and all of the good stuff. It's all about social media now, so where can people find you and follow you?
Sure. I'm only on Instagram, Max Montesi.
Fantastic.
Montesi. That's where I'm at.
Cool beans, man. Well, listen, thank you so much for, like I said, coming on the show and getting crazy and passing on your knowledge, because that is so freaking important. Take care, and we'll be talking to you soon, brother.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, man. Have a good one. Man, oh man, it's always nice and refreshing to hear people who are like-minded talk about the process of film and television.
Yeah. Anytime they share the passion, that they get it. Why are we doing this? What are we in it for? Right. Anytime that they share that, it's always an interesting conversation. And I love that he's so inquisitive. And the best advice I think that anybody listening to this can take from it is ask questions.
Yeah.
Once you're behind that camera, ask why this, why this, why this, because that is how you're going to learn and progress yourself in your career, if this is what you want to do, by asking questions.
For sure, man. For sure. Well, listen, thank you so much, Max, for coming on the show.